us and for our country. You know, I'm going to now introduce Katie. She's not our Katie, but she's a new friend of our family here. Katie Farrell is passionate about food and faith. She is the author of Dashing Dish and devotionals for a healthier you. Katie, welcome to Real Life. We're glad you're here.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you come and be part of the family. We have a family that watches us. We're just not a television program. We're part of a bigger group of people, and always good to bring new people into the family and to talk about health, because health is very important. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get, now you're young. You're still young. You still got that youth and vitality going on. But what made you start thinking about eating right and exercising and doing all the nutritional stuff?
Well, really, it started when I was about 14 years old. I actually went through eating disorders as a young girl and a teenager. And so part of my healing really took place in the kitchen as the Lord really started to give me a passion for learning how to cook and learning how to make foods that are good for our bodies. And so I started to have a newfound passion for treating our bodies right in a godly way. And also, I went to nursing school, and so became a registered nurse, and really learning about the human body and how detailed and intricate that God made it gave me a desire to really take care of this amazing gift that He's given us.
So along with your issues, your personal challenges that you had a faith that you said that God showed you how to take the next steps. Was it just in your prayer time, or how did that all evolve?
Really, that is the key. It was in my personal walk with the Lord. I grew up in a great Christian home, but it wasn't until I started to seek the Lord in my own life personally and really say, okay, God, I know the answer is in your word. That's where I found everything and the answer to everything I was struggling with in life. And so I started to dive in, and the Lord revealed to me in Romans 12:2, which says, don't conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will know my good, acceptable, and perfect will for your life. And I knew that renewing my mind with His word was truly the key to finding freedom in every area of our life.
That's really great, because I know there's a lot of young ladies and men that are really struggling with their body shapes and eating, and we were talking about that at the beginning of the program, how we don't always make good choices. How are your recipes different?
Well, my recipes, my cookbook is called 100 Recipes for Clean Eating. And clean eating is really just, it's as simple as you make it. It's just about taking all the processed foods out of our recipes and out of our diets. And when I talk about processed, the thing that I tell people to stay away from are white sugar, white flour. Get rid of the white stuff first, because it's really so processed and man-made. It has no nutrition.
Get rid of the white and try to be fresh. Stay out of the freezer section as much as possible. Well, I'm looking forward to a recipe. You're gonna cook something for us in the second half of this program, so I'm looking forward to that recipe. And tell us about your family. Are you married? Do you have children?
I am married. I've been married to my high school sweetheart for almost 7 years now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and we don't have kids yet, but that's the next step.
But I hear an accent, so tell us where you're from.
We're from Michigan.
Okay.
So
I heard that accent. I did. Well, you know, I was on your website, so we need to mention not only do you have recipes, but you have a website. Can you share? You have different aspects. I found that really intriguing.
yeah, our website is called Dashing Dish, and on our website we have meal plan builders, so you can, I think a lot of people have struggled with actually putting healthy meals together. It's not about, making the recipe. It's going to the grocery store, bringing home all the stuff, and actually figuring out how do I put this into recipes throughout the week. So we have a meal plan builder that builds your grocery list based on off of our recipes, and then it makes a meal plan for you so you can kind of print it out, see what you're having for the week, and get organized.
That's awesome.
I got to ask you.
I love that.
Yeah, I know that's part of the biggest part of the job is putting the food together and then going and get a shopping list.
That's great.
So, all the experience you've had so far in the kitchen, what is your favorite dish to cook?
I always get asked that, and it's changing all the time. But my personal favorite has to be anything with chocolate. And I have a chocolate 1-minute cake in my cookbook. And it's really amazing because it's one single portion. You put it in the microwave for 1 minute. And there you go. You have a perfectly portioned dessert, which is so important because oftentimes you want to eat the whole cake if you make a big cake, right?
Right, that's right. When I did Weight Watchers years ago, that was their big thing, were portion control. I like that. You just make it for a single serving. That's awesome.
So I'm kind of a little bit lost now, Katie. We're talking about eating healthy, and eating fresh, eating whole, and you tell me about a minute chocolate cake. Give me something else. What about a healthy protein? Give me a protein dish.
Okay, I have pizza lasagna, and that's made with zucchini noodles instead of regular white noodles. And so you just cut the zucchini into strips, and there you go, you have the noodles. And so that's just really what I teach people at Dashing Dish, is that you don't have to always eat salads or plain chicken breasts in order to eat clean or eat healthy. In fact, anything that you bake, you can just swap out oat flour, so old-fashioned oats, the oatmeal that we all know is good for us, for white flour. You just put them in your blender, grind them up, and make a flour, and you have oat flour.
That's what I noticed in a couple of your recipes, that you used oatmeal and you processed it and you made these single portion kind of like chicken something or tuna or turkey, and I don't know what they were called. Pot pie was one, enchilada was another. I thought that's really clever to do it that way. I really thought that was awesome. And you also have, like, on your website a workout videos, which I thought that's really, you can go there. You're a one-stop shop.
And that's what I try to do, is incorporate all the different aspects of health, and that's why I even include devotionals, because I believe that being a spirit, soul, and body, we have to touch on all aspects of our health, and it's not just taking care of our bodies, but it's really learning how to nourish our souls as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, the Bible tells us that, you know, our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and so if we don't clean the temple, you know, figuratively and symbolically and literally, then we're not the best we can be.
It's true.
You know, and my heart breaks for all the people that have medical issues that spring from dietary causes. You know, like diabetes, for instance. When so many people, and a lot of our young people are getting onset adult type 2 diabetes early in life because they're just not eating right. They're not making those kinds of choices, and I don't know who's, I'm not trying to make anybody at fault, it's just the culture that we live in, the fast food culture that takes us and puts garbage in our bodies, and our bodies responds by creating problems. So how do you, as a food person, as a nurse, as a food person, how do you encourage families to start making those kinds of better decisions? Because moms are working. Some moms are single moms. Half of the people are single moms. They got a job and nobody else to help them. What can they do?
Well, I always encourage people, don't try and change your entire lifestyle overnight. Do it in one simple step at a time. If you can change one thing, like taking sugar out of your diet and replacing it with a natural sweetener, for example, that one step is a baby step towards reaching an overall goal of a healthy lifestyle. And then that way, if you make small changes over time, then it's a new lifestyle you've created rather than just a diet or a quick fix. And also, we've created tools, like I mentioned, to try and make the whole process easier, because we know that not everyone has that as a natural ability to be able to think ahead and plan out and prepare healthy meals.
Well, we're so glad you're here with us.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to you going into the kitchen and doing whatever you're going to do today. We always like to have samples. So
That's right.
We'll wait for the samples. And I'm glad you're here with us, too, that you joined us, be part of Cornerstone's ministry, part of real life. There's a truth in this that we need to take to heart, that our bodies are our vessels. And we have to take care of our vessels. If we don't take care of our vessels, they're going to break down. You can't be what God wants you to be if you're sick. You can't be fully what you want to be if you don't have the right mind, the right mentality. So stay tuned. We're going to go into the recipe with Katie. Some good news coming up, and some music. Some music that's going to be a blessing to you. So stay with us. Don't go away. Remember, that's what we do, real life. That's why we do the program, is to show to you practical ways to walk in an abundant life. Jesus promised abundant life. We want to walk in his promises. Thank you for being our partner. Thank you for being our friends. We'll see you then.
makes food for the soul. She's written 2 books, Dashing Dish and Devotionals for a Healthier You. Katie is passionate about helping women find joy in the daily life, physically and spiritually, and developing good habits. Well, Katie, welcome to Real Life 360. We're so glad you're with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
What are we going to be making today?
Well, this is a layered Cobb chicken salad, and my favorite thing about this particular salad is this is to go. So I think a problem that most people struggle with when it comes to eating healthy is really quick and easy meals that you can take to go or prepare in advance and take with you on the go.
Right.
So what I like to do is put all of my toppings in a mason jar, and this just keeps it fresh in your fridge. You can actually make all this even a week ahead of time, keep it fresh in your fridge, but just don't put it on the lettuce because that's what causes it to kind of wilt.
Okay.
And so what I like to do when I'm layering my salads is I like to start with some of the more firm ingredients at the bottom of the jar.
Okay.
I like to do, these are red onions, but you could skip them if you don't like red onions. And you can get a smaller mason jar, whatever works for you. And then these are red peppers, and they're just some diced red peppers, and we missed one in there. And so you could, of course, do any vegetables that you like. You don't even have to do, any of these that I'm mentioning.
Katie, color is good in any sort of a recipe, right? I see the reds, I see greens.
That's right. The more color that the food has, you know that it was made by God and that it's good for our bodies and nutritious.
Right.
I always like to say, eat the rainbow, eat a variety of colors that you have here, and that God has given us so many amazing, wonderful foods that truly nourish our bodies. And so you'll notice that I'm putting the softer foods on the top as we get towards the top.
Okay, now what is that? Is that a cheese?
This is a feta cheese,
Okay.
and so this is a little bit healthier for you than, say, a shredded cheese like cheddar. And then this is avocado, and this avocado is a good fat. It's a good, healthy fat. I think, about probably 10 years ago, people thought that fat was not a good thing to eat, and now we're learning that there are good and healthy fats in moderation that are good for us. And then if you wanted to kind of spice it up, you could do a little crumbled bacon. You could even do center cut bacon. That's a little bit healthier. And so here we have all of our toppings in the jar. And so what you could do is you could bring this just as is. You could even put a little dressing in it. And you can put some of your lettuce right on top in the jar and kind of
lettuce is
pack it
last.
in.
Okay.
Yeah. Right before you leave to, say, go to work. Or you could bring your lettuce in a jar, in a Tupperware just like this. Just leave your toppings right in the jar, and then when you get to work, kind of pour them over
So,
the
and
top
that's
of the
because the lettuce breaks down. Is that what you were
Right.
saying?
It gets kind of watery or soggy
Yeah,
if you
that's
leave
happened
it
to
too
me.
long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So this
just keep it
allows you to
separate.
make it ahead of time. And then we have some chicken too. So you could make this vegetarian if you wanted to, or you could add some good protein, some chicken to it, or some fish.
What are your favorite dressings? Do you have any?
I love
make your
just
own?
making my own with a little balsamic vinegar, a little olive oil, and some lemon juice. Maybe some honey if you like it a little sweeter. And that's a really good basic dressing recipe you can put on any salad.
Katie, it seems like almost by the day it changes, the code for that pyramid, the food pyramid, that, eggs are good and then they're bad, and now they're good again. But it seems like lately, the last couple of years, you talked about the healthy fats. That's actually an important component to a diet because it keeps you from getting hungry
True.
for the refined sugars.
It's true. And it really helps curb those cravings as well. We're finding that if you eat a good balance of some healthy fat, some good lean protein, and whole grains, when you have that good balance, it keeps you away from those cravings of wanting something else like sugar or something processed.
I'm just wondering how you're young, but I know you said you came through something when you were younger. How did you evolve to this? What's the nuts and bolts?
Well, really, it started when I was about 14 years old. I had an eating disorder, and all through my teen years, I went through a lot of different disordered eating. And, it wasn't until I started to really get in the kitchen and start to learn how to cook healthy and learn how to nourish my body God's way with the right balance of foods that I started to realize that our bodies can be amazing, work so efficiently if we put the right things in them. And so really that was a big step of my healing, and the healing process that God did in me was learning how to cook.
That's amazing.
I heard something on television a couple of weeks ago. They were talking about that when they tested rats, that sugar was 5 times more addictive than heroin.
Wow.
That's a pretty profound statement, but I think we really are a nation and even a culture. Our world is addicted to sugar and those refined processed foods.
That's very true. The number one thing that I tell people, if you could start anywhere, just start by cutting out the sugar and the white flour, anything that's processed, but cut out the white stuff. You know, the white flour, the white sugar, the white pasta even. There are so many alternatives. My favorite one is just a natural sweetener such as honey or stevia. That's just a stevia leaf that they make a sweetener out of. Or with replacing white flour, you could do oat flour. So I just take old-fashioned oatmeal, grind it up in my blender, and form a flour out of it.
That's awesome. Well, do we have something sweet you're going to show us how to make?
We do.
That
And
would
this
be
is a great recipe for summertime. I personally love it because it's no bake. It takes a few simple ingredients, and you can serve it with delicious fruit in the summertime. So in this bowl here, we have Greek yogurt, which is a great yogurt because it's high in protein, and you want to get the plain Greek yogurt, not sweetened.
Nothing with sugar in it.
That's right, because we can sweeten it ourselves that way. So, and there's some Greek yogurt cream cheese. So there are so many new things at the grocery store. This is just at a general local grocery store that you can find this. And so I mix these together here, and this forms just a nice creamy dip, as you can see. And then we have some honey here, so you can just really add sweetener to your personal preference. So we'll do about a tablespoon there, but you could add more or less if you desire.
She's a true cook. She doesn't need to measure. I'm like, what's the science book say? How much?
Just a dash, right?
That's true. When it comes to sweetener, though, that's something that really you can do to your personal taste. This here is stevia. So stevia is made with some stevia leaves, and it's all natural sweetener. So it's different from Splenda. A lot of times people get those confused, but Splenda is actually really a chemical base. This is vanilla extract, and you can just do a teaspoon of this. And when we add these all together and mix it up, it is just like a cream cheese dip or filling in a delicious pie or cake. But it's just really something to dip fruit in. So we'll add the vanilla
nice
extract.
fragrance to it.
It smells wonderful.
And then just a little dash of lemon juice, and this is something that you'd put maybe in a cheesecake, and that helps to bring all the flavors together.
Your husband said that no matter what you make it taste really good. 'Cause he doesn't like vegetables and stuff. He's like, but she will make them taste good.
It's true. I always say my husband eats like a picky 2-year-old, and so if he likes it, then I know that any kid would like it, and so it's family approved. So that's how I know it's good to go on my website. And then you just put the dip right here in a little bowl or a serving dish, and then you can serve it with some fruit.
Well, that sounds
Sounds
awesome.
delicious.
We're going to need to take a bite of this, but thank you so much for showing us how to cook.
Thank you so
That's
much
awesome.
for having me here.
In just a few moments, we're going to be discussing the God moments from today's real life program and pray for your prayer requests. We'll be right back.